Get the Intel, the podcast meant for those of us trying to find out what the hell is going on in the field. Here we discuss tools, techniques, and approaches that you can implement to streamline operations and let you focus on your craft.
Hello, Chad Gill here. I'm the host of the Get the Intel podcast, where I talk with leaders in contracting, management, and anyone helping us do business. So this episode is brought to you by Workforce Recon. Workforce Recon is a project tracking software that connects the office to the field crew. Their app, Field Recon, is built with a field-first mentality, developed by contractors for contractors. It includes time and asset tracking, managing, messaging, job documentation, and scheduling all in one place. So if you're tired of finding out what happened days later, check us out at workforcerecon.com and see your operation in real time. So joining me today is Bob Burg. He's the co-author of the international bestseller, The Go-Giver, and a much sought-after speaker at sales and leadership conferences. Bob, I really appreciate you joining us today. I've been very excited to talk to you about this book that's had a big impact on me.
Thank you, Chad. I appreciate you. Great to be here.
Well, fantastic. So the book, it's got 5 laws of stratospheric success. And I'm sure you go through them constantly and those kind of things, but can you just kind of tell me what was the genesis of getting this book out, taking this approach to business?
Well, when I was in sales, I learned from people both the right way to do things and the wrong way to do things. And, I saw that the people who really had sustainable success were the ones who always had a focus on providing immense value to others. And, when you think of it in the basically free market based economy in which most of us operate, meaning that when I say free market, I mean no one is forced to do business with us. They do so on their own volition. Nobody's going to buy from any of us because we have a quota to meet. Right. They're not going to buy from us because we need the money. They're not going to buy from us because we're nice people. They're going to buy from us because they believe that they will be better off by doing so than by not doing so. And you know what? That's a fantastic thing, because it means any contractor out there, it means any entrepreneur out there who truly has a heart for serving others, right, is going to very naturally fit right into that paradigm, that the more value you bring another human being, the more they are going to want to choose to do business with you. And so, that was just something that I noticed. I built a referral system around that and put that into the form of a book called Endless Referrals that came out, probably 35 years ago or so. It was a how-to book. I'd always wanted to do a parable, though, because, parables, which are stories, I think they connect on a deeper heart-to-heart level than, simply a how-to book. So it was something I'd always thought about. And fortunately, I was writing a monthly column for a magazine back in the early 2000s, and the editor-in-chief was John David Mann, who was just fantastic, and he had a great reputation within his niche of being a wonderful writer and storyteller. And as I got to know him and got to know his character, and so where I said, this would be a perfect guy, right, to do this with. I'm a how-to author. I'm step 1, step 2, step 3. John's a magnificent storyteller, and so I asked if he would be the lead writer, storyteller, and it took us a few years took me a few years to go from the original thinking about it to asking John. Okay. Once we did, and once he agreed to do it, then it only took a few months to write it. Then it took another year and 24 rejections before finding the publishing house that actually wanted to do it. And then, it really took off from there.
That's fantastic. I like that. Yeah, it's 24 rejections. There's a lot to be said for just forcing opportunity to recognize you.
Well, I think when you believe in something and you realize that no is part of the journey, and it's part of life, and we need to understand that. I've often said that when it comes to sales, what knocks so many potentially great salespeople out of the business, and when I say sales, I'm talking about entrepreneurs, because if you're starting your own business, you're the salesperson, and then eventually you bring in salespeople. And I've always said what knocks so many people out who early, who could have been just great, is not getting the no's. It's thinking they're the only ones getting the no's. It's looking at everybody else who are where they want to be and saying, oh, well, they just got in the business and they started talking to people and everybody just went. No, not at all. They went through tons and tons and tons of no's. Okay. And so that's why I'm a big believer that we need to inoculate salespeople when they join our company. So we need to say, listen, you're going to go out there, you're going to do a great job. You're going to give people the opportunity to buy from us and to do business with us. But just realize most people are going to say no. That's just how it is. Now, it doesn't mean we have to like it. Doesn't mean you have to enjoy the no. We're human beings. Who wants to be told no? It just means we have to understand that's part of it. And as long as we do that, now we've inoculated that person. Now they know that. So they get a no and they say, oh, this feels lousy. But you know what? Dave or Mary said this was going to happen. So now I know to go. In fact, there's a wonderful book. It's a business parable. It was written, I think, about a year or two after The Go-Giver. It's called Go for No. It was written by a husband and wife team, Andrea Waltz and Richard Fenton. So the theme is basically, the premise is, yes is the destination, no is how you get there.
And that's true. I mean, that's true whether you're applying to schools or dating or anything else like that.
Exactly.
Eventually, you're just going to have to go through that. It's the ownership of it. I like how you have to tell them to embrace it, because it's like comparing yourself to somebody's Facebook feed or something like that. You're like, nobody has that many good days in a row. It's just they're focused on the bad ones,
Well, Mark Sanborn, who wrote some wonderful books, he's a great leadership authority, and he wrote The Fred Factor and some other terrific books. The way he says it, he says, we tend to look at other people's highlight reels while we're looking at our own blooper tapes. And when that happens, that can be very discouraging, right? Because again,
it is, and that is a natural thing to do. And I think, especially as salespeople, you get into that mode where you need to have the memory of a goldfish. You got to go from one node to again. Or sometimes you're like, hey man, I need 9 no's to get my yes, so it's good that I got one out of the way already. It's just 7:30 in the morning. Maybe you shouldn't have been knocking on the door at 7:30. there is knowing the time and place for sales too. But so when you get into these laws and you talk about increasing value, and it sounds very altruistic, it sounds very, very much the way that people want to operate, but it's hard. Construction is a litigious field, and it's becoming, I don't even think there is a non-litigious field anymore. But how do you balance feeling like you're a soft business person, not in the negative connotation way of that, like you're going to get taken advantage of, or you're going to leave money on the table, you're going to miss out on work because they don't think you're ambitious enough, or things like that. How do you balance that with being adding value?
Okay, so the important thing I think to know and to understand, and this is key, is that there is absolutely nothing about being a go-giver that is congruent with being anybody's doormat or a martyr or self-sacrificial in any way. Absolutely not. Being a go-giver simply means that you understand a basic law of free market capitalism, and that is the more value you provide others, okay, the wealthier you're going to become. Because remember, no one's doing business with you for your sake. They're doing it for their sake. When you're a go-giver, you understand that when you can shift your focus, right, from getting to giving meaning what? Creating immense value for others, that not only is it a more fulfilling way of doing business, which it is, but it is the most profitable way of doing business. When you're that person who can take your focus off yourself and place your focus on serving them, discovering what they need, what they want, what they desire, helping them solve their challenges and problems, helping bring them closer in their pursuit of happiness, basically, people are going to feel good about you. They're going to feel great about you. They're going to know you, like you, trust you, want to do business with you, want to tell others about you. So yeah, there's nothing about that in any way says you should be taken advantage of.
Yeah, so this isn't a theory of, hey, I'm going to not charge you for something or anything like that. It's more about the value of saying, working with me is just you're going to get the most bang for your buck and
Well,
the greatest return on effort.
well, yeah, let's put it this way. Go-givers tend to charge higher prices because go-givers are selling on high value, not low price. Okay. When you sell on low price, you're a commodity. And that's how you're looked at. When you sell on high value, you're a resource. Okay. So yeah, you're going to give much more in value than what you take in payment. But that's how you become profitable. So let me explain that. So we've got to, because you first hear that, give more in value than what you take in payment. That sounds exactly like what you were talking about. I mean, you're just giving yourself away. You're going to go bankrupt. So we simply have to understand the difference between price and value. Okay, price is a dollar figure. It's a dollar amount. It's finite. It is what it is. Value, on the other hand, is the relative worth or desirability of a thing, of something, to the end user or beholder. In other words, what is it about this thing, this product, service, concept, idea, what have you, that brings so much worth or value to another person that they will willingly, again, free market, willingly exchange their money for it and be ecstatic that they did, while you make a very healthy profit. Quick example outside of contracting: you hire an accountant to do your taxes, and she charges you. We'll just name a round figure, $1,000. That's her fee, literally her price, $1,000. But what value does she give you in exchange? Well, through her years of learning her business and understanding it, from getting to know you and your business and what you're looking to accomplish, she's able to save you $5,000 in taxes. She also saves you countless hours of time, right, which frees you up to be more productive. And she provides you and your family with the security and the peace of mind of knowing it was done correctly. So first, we see here that while price, again, is finite, value can be both concrete in terms of that $5,000 savings, but it can also be conceptual. Okay, especially as it relates to peace of mind. So she gave you well over $5,000 in value in exchange for $1,000 fee or price. So you feel great about it, and so does she, because it was worth it to her to exchange her time, her knowledge, her wisdom, her energy for that $1,000. In fact, one of my heroes, Harry Brown, used to say, in any free market based exchange, there should always be at least two profits: the buyer profits and the seller profits, because each of them come away better off afterwards than they were beforehand.
I like that, and I like that approach to it. And I think just to make sure I'm getting it right, in a trade work type of situation, you're talking about two different tile companies, for instance. One tile company, for $2 a square foot, will put the tile you chose and the place that you chose in a industry standard method and approach. The other tile company will protect all the things around it. It will tell you that color may not be the best, or that another pattern would save you additional stone. They come in, they introduce themselves well, they have a well-worn path of business. It doesn't cost them anymore to do those things, but it provides a lot more value to the customer who walks away saying, I will definitely choose these guys because for 50 cents more a square foot, my house looks amazing.
Right. And they feel better about, they know they can trust you. They have that feeling like you genuinely have their best interests at heart, because you do. Okay. And yeah, so all those things, we call them the elements of value: excellence, consistency, attention to detail, empathy, right? Understanding their challenges, their feelings, how they may, they don't know the business as well as you do, and they may have questions and concerns. And so empathy is very important, and the appreciation and gratitude and the respect you treat them with, and all that is value. That is relative worth and desirability.
I think I'm getting it. I think I'm with you now. So I definitely get the law of value and compensation, and then there's the law of influence and authenticity. Then there's the one at the end, and it's probably the last because maybe it's the hardest to understand, or the one that people don't expect to be coming, and that's
Right.
the law of receptivity. Can you talk a little bit to that? Why I think it
Sure.
resonates with people. I think it is hard to receive help.
Well, for a lot of people, it certainly is, and there's reason for it, which we'll discuss. So the law of receptivity, and yes, it's the fifth law. It's kind of the one that brings it all home because the first four laws are all about what you're giving. Okay, well, we also need to be able to receive, and the law of receptivity says that the key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving. Um, Really, in a sense, Chad, it means nothing more than understanding that, yeah, you breathe out and you also have to breathe in. It's not one or the other, right? It's both. You breathe out carbon dioxide, you breathe in oxygen. You breathe out, which is giving. You breathe in, which is receiving. Giving and receiving are not opposite concepts, though the world around us tells us otherwise, doesn't it? The messages we get from the world, and this is a lot of times a combination of upbringing, environment, schooling, news media, television shows, movies, social media, cultural mores. We get this message that anybody who makes a lot of money did so through evil ways or nefarious means. They took advantage of others. Now there's a lot of people who do things in a way that we don't like. And there's people who have made a lot of money doing things in a bad way, but they could never really do that through a true free market. Okay. They always had to do things such as buy the influence of politicians to get special rules, regulations, and favors. They had to some way. Okay. That's a different thing. And that's not something that we honor in any way. But most of us, okay, and I know the people in your world and the people in my world, we do business with people who do not have to do business with us. So we've got to be able to earn what we receive. And the way we do that is through the giving of immense value to the lives of many others. Okay. And so giving and receiving are not opposite concepts. Giving and receiving are simply two sides of the very same coin, and they work in tandem. So it's not, are you a giver or a receiver? It's, are you a giver, or it's that you're a giver, and a receiver. But here's what we know. The giving comes first. It has to. It's universal law. It's the laws of nature, human nature, physical nature. We plant before we harvest. We sow before we reap. We give before we receive. As Pindar, the main mentor in the story, told his protege Joe, some people approach a fireplace in such a way as to say, well, first you give me some fire and some heat, and then I'll throw on some logs and some paper and light a match. Or they go to a bank and say, hey, I want to open up an account, but first you give me an interest payment and then I'll make a deposit. Well, life doesn't work that way. It's not a truth of life. And successful people honor truths. And then now they don't let the truth stop them. They work within those truths, right?
Oh.
So so that's really what it is. But we've got to recall that we've got to understand that because of all the negative messages, I call them anti-prosperity messages, that we receive from the world around us, it can really get into a person's head, and it can really get into the unconscious. And that's really the most insidious thing of all. It's not that we're consciously denying our wanting to receive, of course not. But unconsciously, if we feel that by earning a lot of money that we did so through some evil way, or that makes us a worse person, or that there's something wrong with us, or people are going to judge us badly, what are we going to do? Our unconscious is going to push away that which we have earned. So, I think that's why I'm a big believer that we need to consciously make a proactive study of prosperity, and get those good, positive thoughts into our head, really understand basic economics, and understand that, yes, if you have provided value to the marketplace, you've earned the right, not the entitlement, the right to receive, but you've got to be willing to receive it.
I think, it's not like, I love what you're saying, and it's a great way to put it. It's like the idea that you can only be rich, or you can only be wealthy, or you can only be successful if you've done these bad things. And that could get to be pervasive into what you do. But you don't see a lot of people saying you can only be good if you're poor. They don't do that. Or it's not like anybody denies that there are bad people with and without money.
Of course.
It's not it's kind of like the whole idea of people say, well, money's evil. Well, that's not what it said. It said the love of money was evil. It's a matter of, you can do these things and probably the overwhelming majority of the people in all monetary classes are good people. They're not mutually exclusive, or you do one, you must be the other.
Well, it's like the old, when you were a kid and somebody says what we call the false dilemma, the unnecessary use of the word or. When someone would say you're a little kid and they say, hey, when you grow up, do you want to be rich or happy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I'd like to be both. And you can be.
And you can be if you will serve others, if you will find a way to provide value to the marketplace, if you will find a need and fulfill that need, if you will sometimes create that need. Who knew that people needed, iPods or personal computers, or, well, we didn't really need it, but it's something we certainly wanted. And when there's a need found, then you get wealthy by fulfilling it. So, it's really, basic economics is actually pretty easy to understand. Great value, make a lot of money.
And I think that's something that people do miss. I have entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs that have come out to me and as a coach, and they'll ask and say, hey man, I need a side thing. I need a way to make money. I need to make money. I need to make more money. And if that's your goal, I need to make money. That's not you. I don't find it very easy to get there. I think if you say, hey, what do I have that adds value to somebody else's? I can get paid for value. I can get reimbursed for value. Just making money is not. It's not an end goal that puts you.
It's the result. This is why, Chad, that John and I say that money is simply an echo of value, right? Money is an echo of value. It's the thunder, if you will, to value's lightning.
Right.
It really means nothing more than that the value must be your focus. The value you provide another person is your focus. The money you receive is simply a natural result of that value.
And I think that receptivity goes in there because one of the things you mentioned in the book was it's the closing of the loop. If you don't receive, if you don't let people, how weird would it be to say, I'd like to refer somebody to you, and you say, no, don't.
Right.
But you dislike me so much that you think even my referral would be bad. That's terrible. So when you don't allow people to close that loop, I think you do stop that centrifugal motion that goes around.
Yeah, you stop the flow. It's got to be both. It can't be one or the other and have the same effectiveness.
Well, Bob, this is fantastic. We'll definitely we have a PDF with the 5 laws. We'll post that in the notes and the show notes and link to yours. If you speak, I guess maybe there's a go-giver community. There's a lot around that. And this has become much more than just a book, much more than a business practice as well. Is that what you envisioned or hoped for, or just the natural? Is that your thunder?
Yeah, when we first wrote the book, I think we believed there'd be a market for it, of course, or we wouldn't have written it, and we did feel it was going to be well received. I don't know if you can ever really know it's going to take off as it did. So at this point, it sold something like 1,100,000 copies or something like that, and we have several books in the series now. So that's been, it's been a lot of fun, and it's been very gratifying. My business partner, and again, I thank John David Mann for being such an amazing writer. He's made that book into things I could never have done by myself. My business partner, Kathy Tagenel, and I, and Kathy's brilliant. We started what you were kind enough to mention, the Go-Giver community, which is a online membership community. And that's a whole lot of fun. So growing with that, we've got people in it all over the world, and it's just, it's just a blast.
Well, that is fantastic. I mean, I think you're living it out. I mean, you certainly have the influence, and you certainly have the authenticity to it. So I appreciate you taking the time with us, and we'll certainly put links in the notes for that. And I thank you very much, both for the book. For me personally, it's been a big impact to me. It's been a big impact to my family and the people around me and coaching clients. So, thank you from us to you, and certainly appreciate your time.
Thank you, Chad. Appreciate you greatly.
Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to Get the Intel. We'll see you next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.